Welcome to another special edition of Daily Airline News, focusing on the tragic loss of Air India Flight 171. I'm Geoffrey Thomas, and I'm delighted to say, joined by my co-host Richard Godfrey in Frankfurt, Germany. Good evening, late evening to you, Richard.
Yeah, it is late evening and early morning for you.
It is, and the Indian AAIB has just uploaded at midnight Indian time the crash report into Flight 171 Victor Tango Alpha November Bravo, a Boeing 787-8. Richard, a more comprehensive report than we first thought, 15 pages long with some critical admissions. Perhaps you can start to walk us through it.
Yeah, I think it's a very good report, and the bottom line is that at this stage of the investigation, there are no recommended actions to the Boeing 787-8 or to the GE NX-1B engine operator and manufacturers. So they don't seem to find any issue with the aircraft or with the engines, but they very clearly admit there was a pilot error in the cockpit.
Yes, indeed. And that was a story which we raised a couple of days ago about the cutoff switches. And that's contained in on page 14 of the report. Perhaps you can walk us through page 14, Richard.
Yeah, sure. The focus is on the cutoff and run uh, engine fuel switches, which we, as you say, discussed uh, at length, and the whole issue of the takeoff and then what happened is described in some detail in the report, and they include CCTV footage, and they also include screenshots of the takeoff from a different angle to the ones that we've been able to source. They confirmed the RAM air turbine was deployed. So it's a very clear statement that the engine there was an engine failure, and of both engine one and then engine two, and they talk about very specific timing when the fuel cutoff switch was transitioned from run to cutoff and then back from cutoff to run. So it seems very clear from the report that the pilots were making a mistake. They don't say which pilot was making a mistake in the cockpit, but they do talk about the conversation between the pilots. And at one point, why did you just do that? Was one of the statements.
And then the response to that was that he didn't do so.
Yeah.
So,
So denial and surprise, but when you look at the altitude achieved and the airspeed achieved, it all ties together with the pilot error in the cockpit.
yes, it seems an extraordinary error to make. And it also notes that the engine's restart was commenced, but obviously failed. And um, and goes into quite some detail about that. And viewers, we're going to give you a link to the full report so you can read it for yourself. It's 15 pages long. And just to mention here, just for a moment, Richard, Of the 242 passengers and crew on board, 241 lost their lives. There was one survivor. There were 19 people perished on the ground when the aircraft impacted the hospital. So it's a significant tragedy for India and for the people obviously involved, and for the families left behind. But yes, I'm impressed by this report, this preliminary report. Obviously, international pressure has certainly come to bear, whether it's from the American NTSB or the British AAIB. I know at one stage we talked yesterday about the NTSB threatening to walk away from this investigation. So there's obviously been a lot of international pressure on India to come forward with a very comprehensive report. And we should mention that the requirement is to issue a report 30 days after the accident. Sometimes those reports are simply a one-pager, which tells you exactly what you know and gives you absolutely no detail whatsoever. But the detail in this is quite comprehensive, is it not, Richard?
Yeah, it is. For example, they say that there was an attempt to relight the engines. They talk about the fact that the EGT, the exhaust gas temperature, was observed to be rising for both engines, indicating relight. Engine 1's core deceleration stopped and reversed and started to progress to recovery. Engine 2 was able to relight but could not arrest the core speed deceleration. So it goes into really great detail, and I have to say the Indian authorities are being very transparent in this 15 pages. They give you exact timings of what was going on, and they give you a clear information on the progress of the investigation. So I'm very much encouraged, to be honest.
Now, also, we've talked about the pilot experience, Richard, and there's been various numbers that have been thrown around, causing confusion, and people, including ourselves, have raised question marks about, what is the real data. And for the viewers, the captain had 15,638 hours total flying time, of which 8,500 hours was on the 787. And he was a 56-year-old male. The 32-year-old co-pilot male, he had 3,403 hours total flying time, and he had 1,128 hours on the 787. So that's where the discrepancies have come in, when people have been quoting total flying time as opposed to flying time on the type. And the report also goes into great detail about the experience in the last 180 days, 30 days, 7 days, and the last 24 hours. And both pilots had not flown in the previous 24 hours. And in the last 7 days, the captain had done 7 hours of flying and the co-pilot had done 6 hours of flying. So you wouldn't say crew rest was an issue there. There seems to have had plenty of recovery time. Richard?
Yeah, and I find it incredible. We've had so many different figures on the experience of both pilots, and I've seen 1,100 flying hours for the co-pilot and 8,000 for the captain. And now I'm very grateful that that's been corrected, and quite clearly both pilots were experienced. And that is not the issue. And it's not, as you say, an issue that they didn't have sufficient rest, or they were being, as some have claimed, they were being pushed under pressure to do long flying hours and didn't have sufficient rest. That is quite clearly not the case. And the other thing that strikes me about the report is the various claims that the aircraft was overweight. They clearly go into the actual weight and the fuel weight and the cargo weight and the maximum takeoff weight. And there's a typo in the report about where you put the comma, but they're very clear on the maximum takeoff weight and the actual takeoff weight, and that was well within margin. The fuel weight, which they talk about, is 54,200 kilos. I estimated in one of our initial episodes, it needs at least 46,160 kilos to fly to London Gatwick. So at 54,200, they were well within margin with plenty of reserve. So I don't think there was any issue with the ground handling or overweight or the cargo or the flying hours of the experience or the rest period. But nevertheless, a tragic mistake appears to have occurred in the cockpit.
Yes, and in fact, it is a very comprehensive report, and the AAIB of India are to be commended on it. I know we have been a little bit critical of the delay of getting this report out because of the question mark over the 787 and the 500,000 passengers who fly on that aeroplane every day on 2,000 flights. But clearly, they've done a comprehensive job. And as you say, Richard, a great deal of detail. And just getting back to the pilots for a second, the captain had been flying A310s. That's obviously quite some time ago. Boeing 777s and the 787, obviously. The co-pilot was endorsed on the A320 and the Boeing 787. So extensive heavy aircraft experience for both those gentlemen who sadly lost their lives. So, Richard, we're going to look at this over the next 24 hours and do a more comprehensive analysis of it and come back with Moen to get his take on the report. So I think that's where we wrap it up and get this out to the viewers. Viewers, thank you very much for tuning in. Please subscribe, please like us, and please keep those comments coming. Love them. And of course, the questions. Please keep the questions coming. And thank you, Richard, for your analysis of this report.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, sorry. Yes, and in fact, it is a very comprehensive report, and the AAIB of India are to be commended on it. I know we have been a little bit critical of the delay of getting this report out because of the question mark over the 787 and the 500,000 passengers who fly on that aeroplane every day on 2,000 flights. But clearly, they've done a comprehensive job. And as you say, Richard, a great deal of detail. And just getting back to the pilots for a second, the captain was had been flying A310s. That's obviously quite some time ago. Boeing 777s and the 787, obviously. The co-pilot was endorsed on the A320 and the Boeing, and now the Boeing 787. So extensive heavy aircraft experience for both those gentlemen who sadly lost their lives. So, Richard, we're going to look at this over the next 24 hours and do a more comprehensive analysis of it and come back with Moen to get his take on the report. And so I think that's where we wrap it up and get this out to the viewers. Viewers, thank you very much for tuning in. Please subscribe, please like us, and please keep those comments coming. Love them. And of course, the questions. Please keep the questions coming. And thank you, Richard, for your analysis of this report.
You're welcome.